Hello, everyone. A very good morning to the second session for these VLCs for strategic management. My name is C. Arjit Sethi, and I'm very happy to see you on a Sunday morning again. I see a few of you have already joined in on chat, on Zoom, and also on the BOS chat. Hi, Swati. How are you? Sushil has started the day by saying he's very excited for India versus Pakistan T20 World Cup. We all are very excited, Sushil. It's a good day, right? First, we study in the morning and then we enjoy our evening with a match, which is going to be high paced, high drama match. So, waiting for that too. Hey, Soumya, good morning. How are you? Hello, Ritu. A very good morning. Good. Manish has also joined. Bhumika SC. Khader has also joined. We'll just wait for 30, 40 seconds more. We'll just give people a benefit of doubt of Sunday morning and let them join in before we start with second chapter, which is strategic analysis today. Okay. But before we quickly get into that chapter, for all those who are right now live with us, Aradhana, Khushi, Malappa is there, Soumya, Pranjali, good to see you as well again. My question to you is, have we revised chapter one? Have we gone through chapter one again or not? That's my first question. If you say yes, be ready for some questions that I'm going to ask you right now. Okay. Have we all revised question or chapter number one? Or maybe let me just switch the question and say, are you confident with chapter number one? Are you confident that if anything comes from chapter number one, you'll be able to solve, you'll be able to answer? Give me a yes quickly. Are you confident with chapter number one? You should be, right? But let's see. Are you confident with chapter number one before we even go to chapter number two? Awesome. Manish says yes. Thanks, Manish. Soumya says yes. Waiting for others as well. You joined in, you got to be active on the chat. These classes are for you, so you got to be really active on the chat so that you can talk to me. I can talk to you. We can have a conversation and learn on the go. Thanks, Kadir. Kadir says yes. Very clear, very confident. Only Krishnan says yes. Ritu says yes. Pranjali says some are not all chapter, no one revision. No problem. We'll ask some questions today. You'll revise what we did last time, and then we get into chapter number two. Having said that, chapter number two is quite lengthy. Okay, it is quite lengthy, but we'll try to get this chapter done as soon as possible, right? So that you guys have ample time to revise, go back, solve questions. Okay. My question, if you say yes, okay, if you say yes, let me ask you a very simple question. Which level of management, okay, listen to this very carefully. Which level of management, which level of management decides allocation of resources? Which level of management decides the allocation of resources? Top management is what Swati says. Good morning as well, Swati. Money says functional management, divisional level. Fantastic. I got all three levels. Ritu says divisional, Mani says functional, Swati says stop. There are only three levels, and all the three have been given as answers. Unikrishnan says corporate, Kushi says stop. Let's wait for another 10 seconds. Type in your answers quickly so that I know you're going right or not. Kata says corporate. Pranjali says business level management. Very nice. Okay. Let me clear your confusion. Aradhana says divisional. The answer is top management. The answer is top management. Now you would say why? Last class you said who does what is told by or is decided by the business level management. Now you're saying allocation of resources is done by top level management. Okay, my friend, understand this. Resource allocation is not division of work. Resource allocation is allocation of the entire pool of the money into which SBU, into which business, which market, which product. Where do you want to invest more money? Where do you want to invest more capital? Where do you want to invest into manufacturing? Whether a company from a Spanish multinational company wants to manufacture in India, China, or Vietnam is not decided by business level. It's allocation of resources. It's done by the top level management. Divisional level, business level, people decide basis what they have. The allocated resources come to business level people and then they decide where to how do you execute that. Real execution happens at functional level. Okay. So it's like your parents giving you pocket money. The top management is your parent. Allocation, they let's say make 100 rupees and they say, okay, 10 rupees for you. They have allocated 10 rupees to you. The top management decides that. With those 10 rupees, you decide where do you want to spend those 10 rupees. That is you as a divisional level. Now you give that money to one of the persons to do something for you. That's your functional level person executing it. So all allocation of resources happens at the corporate level, which is top management. Okay. Is it clear? Thumbs up. Okay. Yes. Give me something so that I'm confident that you understand this. Don't be confused. Don't be confused. Top management is same as corporate level. They're the same thing. Awesome. Thanks, Manish. Good to see now it's clear. All allocation of resources happens at the top management. Business level, divisional level, people decide how to use those allocated resources for an efficient execution, and real execution happens by the functional people. Okay. Tejas, thank you. Soumya, wonderful. Very nice. Another question for you from chapter number 1. Okay. Another question. Okay, let me not maybe chapter number 1, but let me just ask you something general with strategic management. What is a competitive advantage? What is a competitive? We've studied in question in chapter number 1 as well. Somebody asks you, what is competitive advantage? What is that key word you would use for competitive advantage? Take your time, take 10 seconds, think about it, and then answer on the chat. What do you understand by competitive advantage? What is that key word for competitive advantage? What is that key word for competitive advantage? Think and answer. Something unique, to be proactive. Okay. Uniqueness over others. Core competency. Again, mixed answers. I am asking for the key word. USP. No. Something special to competent with others like cost reduction strategy. Can be. That's a good answer. Some special quantity which we have over our competitors. Quantity or quality, Tejas. An edge over the competitor. Okay. What about the customer? Unique over the competitor, edge over the competitor, something unique with something that nobody else is doing. But what about the customer angle to competitive advantage? What about the customer angle of competitive advantage? Valued by the customer, outperforming your competitor, unique, different from others, not copied by others, not imitated by others, okay, higher than average profit. That's competitive. That's the result of competitive advantage. Soumya, you're bang on, okay? Valued by the customer, lower price. All these are competitive advantages, but the keyword, please remember this. You guys are not listening to the classes carefully then. Competitive advantage, something unique and valued by the customer. Unique means nobody else is doing it, and valued by the customer. Customer wants to pay for that uniqueness. That is your competitive advantage. If I'm doing something very different, nobody wants to buy it or nobody wants that, it's not a competitive advantage. It should be unique and the customer should value it. Customer should be willing to pay money for it. That is your competitive advantage. Okay, valued by the customer is really important. I can be giving the best product, very different, very amazing product, very useful. Nobody buys it. It's not a competitive advantage. Nobody wants it. Okay, cool. Let's start with chapter number 2, which is strategic analysis. One of the most interesting chapters with a lot of real life examples. We will talk about so many companies, so many startups in this chapter. Okay, let's start with the first one. Okay, now what is strategic analysis? What is strategy? How do companies come into the market and figure out that something is not working, and how do they change or how do they become successful? Okay, read this carefully. In late 2000s and early 2010s, Netflix faced a critical decision point in its business model. Okay. Netflix faced a critical decision point in its business model. Originally, originally, it was known for its DVD rental by mail services. So when Netflix started, it was a DVD rental company which was giving out DVDs or delivering DVDs over mail to people. However, as the streaming technology emerged, changes in external environment, changes in technology. However, as streaming technology emerged and the consumer preferences shifted towards online content consumption, people were coming on the internet. People used to have phone. People had access to internet. Technology was emerging. It was changing. Netflix recognized the need to pivot its business strategy. With the change in external environment, which is customers' preference changing, technology changing, the way people used to look at their product was changing. So what they had to do, they had to change their own strategy, business model, business strategy as well. They conducted a comprehensive strategy analysis of its internal capabilities, right? Of its internal capabilities and external market and dynamics, which included the following. One, they did SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunity, threat analysis. What's working for us? What's not? What are the opportunities? What are the problems? What are the threats we can face? They did that analysis. Then they did competitive analysis. Then they did competitive analysis. What are people around us doing? What are people who are competitors? What are they doing? They're pricing their technology. What are the steps they're taking? What is the strategy they're doing? Okay, that's called competitive analysis. And third, they did market analysis. What they did was they did market analysis. What does the customer want? What do people want essentially at the end of the day? We are changing our model, we are changing the way we do business, but what do people really want from us? That is what they did. SWOT, competitive, market analysis. Three things that they did. And this is what we're going to study in this chapter as well. In the first half of the chapter, we're going to focus on competitive analysis and market analysis. Now, from a real business strategy perspective, Netflix was facing challenges because it was sending DVD by mail service, but technology was changing, customer preference was changing, the way people consumed content was changing. So they had to change their business strategy. Now, SWOT analysis, when they did SWOT analysis, they assessed its own strengths in content creation and customer data analytics. They had a lot of customer data. They had good content to give out to people, to deliver to people, right? The weakness was their reliance on the DVD physical delivery. The opportunity was in growing demand of online streaming, and the threat was from competitors like Blockbuster and emerging streaming services, because everybody knew this is a new thing, it's coming up. Everybody wanted to do business in it. So that was a threat of competitive pressure. Then they did competitive analysis. When they did competitive analysis, they analyzed the competitive landscape, who all are there to compete with, who are our real competition, who are the people who we really need to be careful of. Okay. They identified the key players, their strengths and weaknesses, where are they playing, what is their pricing, how are they actually managing, where do they stand in comparison, where it is needed to differentiate. All of it is what they did. Okay. Number three was market analysis. Number three was market analysis, which is Netflix evaluated consumer trends, technological advancements, and regulatory factors shaping the entertainment industry. They figured out how is the market, how is the industry changing, how will a product look like in coming years. They analyzed that. SWOT analysis, internal. Competitor analysis, what are others doing? Market analysis, what is happening in outside us, within us, close competition, outside us. Three levels of analysis is what they did. And finally, based on the strategic analysis, they made a bold decision to change or transition from DVD to subscription based streaming services. They changed the way they did business, they changed the entire strategy. And for that, they invested heavily. They invested heavily in developing streaming platforms, securing agreements, contracts, creating content which is easily accessible for movies and TV shows and recommendations of the users and this and that. Everything they did, they invested heavily in the new technology, which was going to be the future. And the result is in front of us, right? It has proved to be highly successful for them. The company has experienced rapid growth in subscribers and revenue, their ad models, their subscription models surpassing traditional competitors. And this is like one of the biggest streaming services in the world right now, which is Netflix. Why have they been successful is because they really understood strategic analysis. They really worked on analyzing themselves, their competitors, their market, their customer, their industry, their strength, their weakness, their external environment, what is political, how the technology is changing, how the legal aspects around things are changing. They understood everything around and inside them using strategic analysis tools. And that is why they're successful. And that is what every business needs to learn from such businesses which have really used strategic analysis to be successful. Okay. And this is our entire chapter today. How can businesses really go and do strategic analysis? What are the tools? How do they do that? Why is it important? What are the different tricks? I'll give you real life examples of so many companies in this chapter. You will figure out that maybe, yes, this is what companies are doing. And it's really interesting if you go and read about what companies, how smart these people are. One small thing which I have experienced from previous sessions as well is a lot of times most of us get confused with the fact that strategy is marketing. No, strategy is not marketing. Marketing is just one small part of strategy. Okay. People say, okay, so this particular brand brought in Ranveer Singh. What a great strategy. It's not a strategy, my friend. It's just marketing. It's just promotion. It's not strategy. Strategy starts from manufacturing, sourcing raw materials, to developing a product, to marketing it to the right people. And part of it is marketing. Marketing is not strategy. Strategy includes marketing, which is a very small part of it. So do not get confused that bringing a particular brand ambassador or coloring a particular car a different color. So let's say if you see a lot of Lamborghinis are yellow in color or green, bright neon green. Ferraris are always red, right? Mostly. These are not strategies. These are marketing tricks, which is part of an overall strategy. Okay. So do not get confused between strategy and marketing as well. This is beyond syllabus. I'm telling you, when you talk to somebody, talk with probably the right knowledge in terms of marketing is part of strategy. It's not strategy overall. Okay. That was just an additional something that I wanted to share. Okay. You understand how Netflix use strategic analysis, what competitive analysis and market analysis to reach where it is today. Okay. Now, coming to a bit of a bookish knowledge, right, which is also important from exam perspective. What does strategic analysis really mean? Okay. The majority of expanding organizations, when they expand out, do new things, try new things, go to new markets, bring new products, diversify, invest, divest, what happens? The strategic analysis is a component of business planning, of planning things ahead, beating the rivals, meeting the customer demands which are changing, being abreast with what is happening around them, adapting, changing, conquering the changes that are happening around them, facing the challenges, solving for it, and that is what the business is. If you probably realize, business is much beyond doing what you want to do. It's more about doing what you want to do, but taking care of 20,000 external things, right? The government changes, the policies changes, the GST rate changes, technology changes, legal ways of doing things changes, the country dynamics changes, your raw material sourcing country dynamics changes, your prices change, your customers change, your competitors change, your product becomes defunct. Nobody wants your product anymore. What do? Do you close down your business? No, I bring about a new product with some changes and innovation. Strategic analysis. Why is it happening? The answer to why of your problems start with strategic analysis. Why are we not making enough profits? Dude, go and do strategic analysis, right? Why is my competitor doing better than me? Very good question. Go and do strategic analysis and figure out what's happening. Okay. Why is this new company doing so much better than me? I'm a 60-year-old company. Why is this new company doing so much better than me? Why are customers liking it more? Fantastic question. Go and do strategic analysis and figure out what's happening. That is strategic analysis, figuring out the whys of your business, the whys of problems, the whys of good things as well, not just problems. Some good things also you got to learn from yourself, right? And those things are strategic analysis. Two important situation consideration is one, you got to understand the industry and competitive conditions. You need to understand your industry very well. Okay. You need to understand your competitive conditions very well. Okay. And number two, an organization's own capabilities, its own resources, its own internal strengths and weaknesses, the industry and competitive conditions. That's strategic analysis. Doing chartered accountancy, the industry is fantastic, highly rewarding, highly respected. Competitive conditions are fierce. So many people giving chartered accountancy examinations, very few clear the examinations. The competitive conditions are very hard. The industry is fantastic. What is my own capacity? What is my own capability? Can I do it? Yes. Do I have the resources? Yes. Do I have the internal strength? Yes. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Am I going to be the one amongst those who clear the examinations? What is my market position? Strategic analysis. Two important things. Figure out things outside of you. Figure out the things inside of you. Okay. Macro and micro environment. We'll touch upon that in the chapter as well. But setting the base for you. Macro, micro, things beyond the control, outside of me. What's happening there? Why are things changing? What is changing? How is that impacting me? Analyze that. How does that impact me? But what are my internal capabilities? Can I overcome that? What do I need more? Or something, maybe I'm very powerful and very confident in what I have and I can overcome that. Depends on me, depends on my capabilities. The two things, external macro, internal micro. Okay. Before I go to the next one, all clear so far? I want this class to be interactive. I want this class to be more responsive. Otherwise, it's just a recorded session then. But the benefit is we are live, so you got to talk to me a lot. Ask questions, put your thoughts, anything that you feel like sharing with the class, you feel everybody should know, I should know. Go ahead and put that on the chat. Feel free, it's your classroom. Talk as much as you can. Okay? This is not my class, this is your class. You got to talk, you got to share. The more you share, the better chances that you get to know something new from others. Others get to know new things from you. Awesome. Thanks, Soumya, Tejas, Swati, Sushil, sweetie. Awesome. People distinguish between macro and micro again, Sushil. Once that particular topic comes, it's there in the chapter. I was just giving a concept. Macro outside, micro inside of us. Thanks, Kiran, for a yes. Avni, thank you. Okay, what you see on the screen right now is a picture of what we just discussed. It's a graphical representation. Once you become a finance professional, once you become a strategy consultant, you go to the McKinseys and Bains and BCGs, you go to Accenture, you go to big IT firms, you go to big MNCs, FMCGs, investment banks. People are going to rely on your graphical representation as well, a lot of it, right? So that is why strategic management specifically has a lot of graphical things for you to grasp concepts as well. You got to be used to understanding concepts from graphs and flowcharts, like the one on your screen. Evaluation, current vision, mission, goal, strategies. We did that last time. What is your mission, vision, your value system, your intent, right? And then based on those, you do external analysis and you do internal analysis. When you do external analysis, you figure out what are the opportunities and threats. So, what analysis? The opportunities in the market, the threats in the market. When you do internal analysis, you figure out what are the strengths and weaknesses. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How do you overcome that? How do you exploit and overuse your strengths? Right? To beat the competition, to meet the customer demand. That's your SWOT analysis. How do you overcome your weaknesses so that you do not lose out your business and profitability? That is what you got to do as a business. External analysis, internal analysis. So externally, you figure out that this is what is happening. Internally, you figure out these are my strengths and weaknesses. Got to work on them more. That is strategic analysis in a flow chart. Now, what are the issues you got to consider for strategic analysis? You're a consultant, okay? You're a consultant. Look at the screen, it's okay. You can read what's there, but think as a consultant. I called you, I am a 40-year-old Indian company, a family business owned, we make garments, okay? I am a family owned business, 40-year-old into the business. Listen to this carefully. And I called you as a strategic consultant and say, hey, I need your help. I need some services from you. I need some advice from you. Things are not moving for me. A lot of Zara's and H&M's and Max and Louis Philippe, Aditya Birla Fashion, these people are taking away a lot of my business. They are manufacturing themselves. They are manufacturing in Vietnam. They're manufacturing in Indonesia. They're not really getting the raw material from India, right? Most of the production is moving to Southeast Asia, even cheaper labor. And I'm in a problem. And I am in a problem. Now, you as a consultant have a solution. Okay. You as a consultant have a solution. But when you give that solution to a particular customer or a client, What are the few things you will tell them to be careful of? You have a solution to their problem, you give them a solution. But what are a few things? You can read the slide as well, but think about it yourself. What are a few things you will tell them to be careful about when you give them a strategy or when you give them an analysis? Every analysis is based on certain assumptions. Every analysis might have some assumptions and probabilities. It might never be accurate because unless you execute a strategy, you never know if it's going to work or not. So, what are the few things you will tell them to consider when you give them a strategy or you analyze their strategy? What are a few things you will tell them to be careful of? Think and answer. Think like a consultant. Think like a consultant giving business ideas to your client. What are a few things you will tell them? Ki, boss, blah, 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 blah. You can do this, but be careful. X, Y, Z. Three things, four things, five things you got to be careful of. What are a few things? Think and answer. Take your time. You're not in a hurry. Few things you would want them to be careful of. Okay. Avni says, be careful of competitors' move. Absolutely. Right. I am giving you a solution, but boss, be careful. If the competitor is really smart, they're going to eat you away. Be careful of your competitor's move. Someone says, analyze the competitive edge prevailing in the market, right? Again, be careful of what competitors are good at. What more should they be careful of? Okay, the competitive edge, the competitive forces, how smart competitors are. What more should they be careful of? Can be changed according to demand or environment, right? I will read it like be ready to change basis the demand and the environmental factors. This strategy might work, but if it doesn't, be ready to change quickly with the changing demand and environmental situations. Be careful about your weaknesses. Kiran, you're giving them anxiety. Be careful about your weaknesses. I'm already scared and my business is not working, and I gotta be careful about my weaknesses. I'm already weak. I'm just joking, but do not invest money where you're not good at, right? You might not know swimming, and if you do not know swimming, you shouldn't go and buy a 10,000 rupees monthly swimming pass. You're gonna waste money. So be careful about your weaknesses. It's not a strategy. I will pay money and learn swimming. Learn the cost efficient thing and upgrade. Don't buy the biggest plan. That is what I say. Such a middle class thought, but true. Try to cope up with the demand of the customers. What gaps to be filled, right? Sweetie, what gaps to be filled? You got to be careful about it. Risk involved in such business. So I mean, no businesses with risk. So you got to be careful of the risk. Absolutely. Customer preference is important. Example, pricing. You got to be careful of your pricing strategy. Very nice. Consumer preferences. Very nice, Ritesh. You guys are absolutely bang on. Let's put the answer in a structure. The answers are right. Let's put a structure to your thoughts. Issues to consider for strategic analysis is number one is strategy evolves over a period of time, right? You go and tell your customer, you go and tell your client that, hey, listen, I am giving you, I am giving you a strategy, but it will take time for you to see results. ऐसा नहीं होगा, I will give you strategy today and tomorrow you will be a billionaire. Not going to happen. It will take time. It will evolve over a period of time. Number two, balance of external and internal factors. right? Balance of external and internal factors. In practice, strategic analysis wants you to balance both external and internal. Like you said, my voice is not clear. It should be good in 10 seconds. That happens. Sometimes the load on the server is too much, but we should be back. Don't worry. The video and the voice will be clear. Don't worry. Sometimes the network has some load. We should be okay. Cool. So balance of external and internal factors. In practice, strategic analysis necessitates creating a reasonable balance between many conflicting. So, like you said, be aware of your competition, be aware of your weaknesses, be aware of your strengths, balance of external and internal factors. And number three, very important, my friend, risk, risk. There is always a risk in principle, right? Which is basically that things might not go the way you want them to be. There's always a risk, even if the strategy is there, even if people know what to do and how to do. Risk is always going to be there. It's business at the end of the day. And no business works without risk. No business works without risk. So the risk is got to be there anyway. The risk is going to be there for sure. Okay, cool. That those are some of the issues you got to consider when doing strategic analysis. With that, we reach a very interesting topic, which is strategic risks. Strategic risks. Okay. Let me give you a few examples and you tell me, is that a risk or not? Okay. I will give you examples. You will tell me, is that a risk or not? Give me a thumbs up, give me an okay, right? I'm going to ask some questions. You tell me, is that a risk to the strategy or not? Okay. Give me okay, thumbs up, anything so that I know you guys are active and not sleeping again. I know Sunday 7:37. It's a sleepy morning for you to listen to me continuously shouting into your ears in the morning, but okay. That's how classes are. Thanks, sweetie, Swati, Soumya, Tejas, Ritu, Swati again. Thank you. And Manish shared Bhumika Avni on the Zoom chat. Cool. The question number one is, my strategy is to start manufacturing in Ahmedabad. I want to start a manufacturing plant in Ahmedabad. Okay. I want to start a manufacturing plant in Ahmedabad because it makes most sense for me to be there from a resource perspective. Okay. But But the thing is, I will have to take a loan and my loan will be around 20% interest. Ritesh, Chanchal, Pranjali, thanks for the okay and thumbs up. The question is, I want to start a manufacturing unit in Ahmedabad, but boy, my interest rate I'm getting from the bank on my loan for manufacturing is 20%. Is that a risk to the strategy or not? Is that a risk to the strategy or not? Very high risk. Khadir says very high risk. इतना पैसा कौन भरेगा? Khadir, you're right. I resonate with you. Kiran says it is a cost. Yes. So it is risky. Huge risk, Swati. Tejas says yes. With three S's, 20% interest. इतना तो market का return नहीं है. I understand. We're not making so much returns on the stock market. How? It's so 20% interest. It's so huge a risk. Right, Ritesh? Ritesh says yes, it's huge risk. High degree of risk. Sayanto, true. Okay, pause your thoughts there. Now I have my second question for you. I made a strategy. I am a smart band watch. I make smart band watches. Okay. I'm a company making smart bands. And I am doing what? Okay. I introduced an innovative thing within my smartwatch. What I did was I added TV AC control in my smartwatch. I can control my air conditioning, I can control my television from my smartwatch, the temperature and on and off, and everything I can do with my smartwatch. Bang on, fantastic, innovative idea, and I introduced it to the market. And this was a Bluetooth thing, right? So you can connect your AC, you can connect your television or via Bluetooth with your smartwatch, because smartwatches use Bluetooth as a technology. Okay, what happened? All the televisions and air conditioners switched from Bluetooth to Wi-Fi connectivity. No longer a television or an AC works on Bluetooth. Everything moved to Wi-Fi connectivity from Bluetooth. And my smartwatch had a feature to connect to AC and TV via Bluetooth. Is that a risk? Is that a risk to my strategy? Is that a risk to my strategy? Yes. True. Khader says yes, it's a risk. Pointless innovation हो गई. Avni says, yes, it's a risk again to the strategy, to the all brains and resources and corporate level doing resource allocation, functional level executing it, business level figuring out. We did everything, man. We did entire strategy from A to Z. We did everything. Strategic analysis. We did external analysis, internal my strength, something innovative, competitive advantage. सब कुछ कर लिया. We did every single thing that this strategic management booklet was telling me to do. I did every possible step, but still, there is a risk. But still, there is a risk. The dependency on another product is a risk. My product is dependent on some other product. That is the risk. If that product changes, my product becomes zero. My product becomes zero. You understand the risk in strategy? You have to change the whole technology. Scrap. Nobody's gonna buy your old smartwatches with Bluetooth. Nobody cares. People say, dude, give me Wi-Fi. Nobody uses Bluetooth any longer. Strategy is at risk. Strategy is at risk. I'll give you another example. For the usage of that watch, we need to manufacture new TV having Bluetooth. Very good, Swati. Swati is the richest person in the class. Swati, please go ahead, make new TVs. We'll be interested to see how we do that. Okay. So now, another question for you. Mr. X. Mr. X. Okay. Mr. X is the CEO of the company. He sat down with his team and said, boss, listen, we got to change the way we do business. We are not very profitable. We need to go and sell more of products in the government account. Private markets are very small for us. The government market is going to be huge for us. Let us go and focus on government, Indian government, Bangladesh, Nepal. Let's figure out Indian subcontinent and the peripheral countries' government, and let us go and sell our products to the international governments and local government, state government, central government. Fantastic idea. People said very good. People clapped in the boardroom. They said, fantastic idea, sir. You are so great, sir. You are the best CEO, sir. You should get the award, sir. Very nice, sir. They did everything. They started execution, they started marketing in the government accounts, they gave price cuts, they did promotion, marketing, gave out a lot of events and free samples, spent thousands of crores of rupees. While we were doing this, while they were doing this, Mr. CEO was asked to leave the company by the global head. Now listen to this carefully. While everybody was excited about the strategy and executing it, 3-4 months after the strategy started executing, the global head asked this CEO to leave the company for XYZ reason. Is that a risk to the strategy? Is that a risk to the strategy? Kiran says yes. बहुत ही बड़ा रिस्क है यार ये तो. Soumya says yes. Father says yes. We तो never thought about this. We तो were thinking strategy, strategic analysis, big, big words, very nice. We were reading strategic management. Why are you giving us reality check? That is how life is. That is how things change. People change. Companies change. Organizations change. That's a risk. Preeti, Ritesh, Ritu, Pranjali, Soumya, right? On the chat. Mani says yes. Absolutely, my friend. And that is what you see on the screen right now. Strategic analysis has strategic risks. Strategic analysis has strategic risks. Now let us understand the type of these. You know them already. Number one, external risk, but only for a short period of time. If there is an external risk, but only for a short period of time, we call it as an external short time risk or external short strategic risk. For example, errors in interpretation of the environment. Errors in the interpretation of the environment. You might think that the government will not change, and it changed. Some of the businesses were thinking the government will not change. It's going to be a clean majority. We're going to make so much money and so much preferences. External things changed, but it is only for a short period of time, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, right? Then they adapt. Then the businesses adapt. So if you have errors in interpretation of your external environment, it is an external short-term risk. If if the environment changes completely, if your interpretation is wrong, then it is a short-term risk because you will adapt, you will change. But if the environment changes altogether, it is a long-term risk, which is external. If your interpretation is wrong, then you will adapt and change very quickly. But if the environment changes altogether, it will take time for you to adapt because the environment has changed completely. So it is a long-term external risk. Okay. Internal short-term risk. The capacity is unable to cope up with strategic demands. The manufacturing plant in Ahmedabad and loan is an internal short-term risk because business will figure out how to get funds. We are not going to lose out the opportunity of not manufacturing in Ahmedabad. We will figure out somehow. But in the short term, it's a risk because I don't know if the bank is not going to give me a cheaper loan. How will I get the money? Maybe I'll take a loan from friends, families, do an equity split, sell off some part of my company, sell off some of my old assets, get in some money and start manufacturing. I will figure out. But in the short term, it's an internal risk because my internal capacity is not meeting my dreams. Number four is internal long-term risk. The CEO changes. Inconsistency developed on account of changes in internal capacity and preferences. भैया CEO ही change हो गया. Now it will take time for the company to come back. Long-term internal risk. It's because of an internal change. And it's going to take 6 to 8 months. Somebody new will come in 2, 3 months. They will start their own thing. They will figure out what's happening. Is it right or not? Try to do new things. It will take some time, my friend. Long-term internal risk. So external short-term, external long-term, internal short-term, and internal long-term risk. Are we clear on this concept? Are we clear on this concept? Yes, thumbs up, smiley, okay. Anything that gives me a confirmation we are clear on this. Okay, Manish says yes, Sayank says yes. What about others? Is strategic risk as a concept clear? Awesome. Sweetie says yes. Tejas says double thumbs up. Soumya says yes. Ritesh says yes. Avni says yes. Kiran says yes. Very good. And thank you. There's a task for you in the slide that you see on your screen. I will tell you which risk, and you will give me one example. Think of an example and share on the chat. Give me an example of long term internal risk, not the one that I gave you. You don't have to give my example. Think of an example for long term internal risk. Long term internal risk. Give me an example. The definition is inconsistency with strategy developed on account of changes in internal capacities and preferences. Give me an example of internal long-term risk. Not the one that I gave you. Think of a new one. Take 30 seconds, take 1 minute, think about it and answer. Long-term internal risk. Long-term risk. Think about it. You got to write your comments in the chat. Okay. Fraud in the company. Losing interest in any 5-year professional course. Losing interest in any from a company perspective, you have to give me, sweetie. Okay. Parniti says fraud in the company. That's a good one. Death of the key personnel of the management. That is right, Ritesh. But इतना dark example नहीं देना था. Khader also says death of the key person. Give me some थोड़ा सा normal example. Why do you have to go to death and everything? Vaishnav says BSNL company. Okay, but give us examples. What happened with BSNL? Not able to organize raw material at reasonable price. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great example, Kiran. Resistance from employees to implement strategy. Great example. Shifting to other business after being in one business for several years. Oh, that can be diversification. How is that a risk? Introducing new products in the market, making strategy for undeveloped products. That's a strategy. Risk कहाँ है इसमें? Failure to make technological upgradation in the business processes. Yes. providing Foxconn to manufacture phones, but if they reveal the secrets, then they must look after other company, which takes longer term. So I think you're right, but companies are not dumb. They are legally very protected. Nobody can share their secrets so easily. And if they do, they're gonna pay trillions and trillions of dollars to Apple. And no company would ever want to do that. Bankruptcy of the business could be short term, unless it's a huge bankruptcy. Dispute amongst departments, Ritesh. You're right. Absolutely. Purchase department says, I will not buy this product. It's a bakwas product. I don't want to buy this product. Sales department says, dude, that's what the customer wants to buy. Marketing says, I don't think customer wants to buy any of the things you two guys are talking about. The customer needs a third kind of a product. There is no communication proper, no proper flow within the organization, and that's a risk to the strategy. Top management might feel, wow, I have a wonderful strategy, my business will be successful, and the departments within the company are not even talking to each other. They're like, what is happening? I don't know what they're saying, right? System become corrupted, right? Ethics, if companies do not take care of value systems very carefully, it might become a challenge for them. Very true. Great examples. I'm very happy to see these examples. Very happy to see examples, which means you guys are thinking beyond the book. खुद का दिमाग लगाना is very important. That's what we're doing here. Lack of unity between the departments, lack of coordination among the levels of management, right? Good. Great examples. You understand what we were talking about. Okay, let's go to the next topic. Okay. Take a deep breath and let's go to the next topic. Let's get out of risk. Let's get our strategic analysis and let's go out to business environment. Let's talk about business environment. Take a deep breath and let's change to the next topic, right? Okay. An example of long-term, very nice. I'm just given a big one. I got to read this in 30 seconds. An example, long-term internal risk would be change in management policies. Example, when Cyrus Mistry was replaced by Ratan Tata as CEO of Tata Group, it led to a change in the whole organization. Very good example. Change of the personnel, change of the attitude, change of the attitude of the top management. Absolutely great example. Very nice. Now the next topic. Strategy and business environment. What is happening here? There is a close and continuous interaction between business and its environment, bhaiya. The business cannot live in isolation of its environment. It needs to have a continuous interaction with its business environment. What is happening outside? What are things that are changing? You got to know everything, but why? Kyun? The question is to you, my friends, on the chat and live in the class, active in the class, awake with your eyes wide open. Why do you have to be caring about business environment? Why do I spend time thinking about what's happening outside? It's a contradiction to your personal mind space. We say, don't be bothered about by others' opinions, what they have to think, what they have to do. Don't be bothered about it. But a business says, man, listen, I just need to know everything what's happening outside. I can't just live in isolation. I really need to be bothered about what are people talking about my business. But why? A contradiction to the new age concept of don't be bothered, be at peace. Business is absolutely opposite. Dude, I need to know every single thing being talked about my business. Why? Business environment is dynamic and affects the working of the organization. Rani, very generic answer, but okay. Give me some details. क्यों पढ़ूं भाई बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट क्यों पता करूं क्या हो रहा है why should I be bothered about things happening in my business environment? Why should I be bothered? Because environment is changing, I know it. But मुझे क्या मिलेगा? What will I gain by studying my business environment? People demand is changing. Okay. To sustain in the market. Again, Pratima, end result. You guys are giving me end result. Customers and competition are not internal. True, true. But why do I need to study or just be bothered about business environment? You can be proactive, okay? It directly impacts the business. True. Every business goal is survival, which can only be achieved by a thorough analysis. Very nice. Very nice. The answers are on your screen as well. I'm just saying. Competition market growth yourself. Okay, you grow with the market. What competitors are doing, you got to know. Yes. Making our own strategy, you need to know when you go to make your own strategy. By analyzing environment, customer preference can be known and opportunities can be identified. Business growth in competitive market, because it is the key element to tap out the pitfalls in the business to create goodwill. Very nice. Now you guys are talking money. Highly complex and turbulent. We need to study business and helps us to get the first mover advantage. Great. Now back to your screens. Studying business environment is important because it helps you determine the opportunities and threats. It gives direction of growth. Karna kya hai bhaiya? What do you have to do as a business? It tells you what you have to do as a business. ठीक है जी? Continuous learning. Continuous learning. You got to learn more about your own business. Why do you think you're pro at your business? Nobody is at a pro in their business. You got to keep learning. And unless you see what is happening around you, you cannot learn more. You're doing chartered accountancy today. Who knows, after 50 years, the course is no longer needed. There is something more advanced. You got to be cautious. You got to know what's happening around you. You got to know what's happening around you, right? Continuous learning, image building, goodwill. Unless you know the customer, unless you know the technology, unless you know what's happening around you, you cannot build a goodwill with the customers. Customers will be like, "Isko to padi nahi hai." The business doesn't care about what's happening in the environment. They're just doing what they want to do. It's an age-old Lalaji business, right? They're not changing with times. That is what you got to do to seal opportunity, to know how the strategy is working. And finally, meeting competition. Finally, meeting competition. You got to meet the competition as well. That's what you guys were saying. Analysis of business environment also provides an early warning signal. For example, if a new foreign company is entering the Indian market, then the analysis of environment would help Indian business to take an early mover advantage. Meeting competition, that's right. Sayanto, we are here. An external foreign company coming into the market means you got to be aware of the competition as well. To know how the strategy is working, you got to be aware of the business environment. Absolutely true. And that is why understanding business environment is very important. Determine opportunities and threats, give direction to you what you got to do. Continuous learning, always keep learning. Goodwill creation in the eyes of the customer and the external players, and meeting competition in your industry. That is what business environment study helps you achieve. Next topic on your screen. We talked about strategic analysis. Why is it important? The kind of risks involved. Why do you really have to care about it? And why do you have to care about the business environment as a whole? But what does business environment basically mean? Business environment means both internal and external environment. Macro and micro environment. Both macro and micro environment. To people asking what is macro and what is micro. Macro environment is something far from the business, very difficult to control, and common for all the players in the industry or across different industries. Okay. Give me an example of something which is a common impacting factor for every industry in the world. Give me an example of something which is a common impacting factor for every industry, irrespective of what they do. They can be a gaming industry, they can be this, they can be that, they can be anything. It is common for everyone. Common. For everyone, it is common. Customer response, no, Preeti. Customer response can be common for everyone. Customer response of a gaming industry company, how is it same for a petroleum company? Legal environment, again, very different. For agriculture, the tax rates are different. For the gaming or gambling industry, the tax rates and legal environment is very different. How is it common for all? Political environment can be something which is common for all. Technology is common for all. How? EV, electric vehicles, how are they impacting a company making cups? There's a company making this coffee mug. How is electric vehicle technology impacting them? Not common for all. Sorry, wrong example. Competition, very specific to them. How is it common for all? Think before answering. Think before answering. The question is some of the factors which impact every business irrespective of what they do. सबके लिए common factor है. It is a common factor for everyone. Socio-cultural environment. Absolutely yes. That's a good one. If certain set of people are 50 plus, if the group of customers in a particular country are more old age people, it is common for every business there. That's a good one. Government, economy, like the country where they work. Okay, the location of the business, but you can still change. The fluctuations of foreign exchange rates, absolutely common for all. True, the exchange rate fluctuation is common for all. Irrespective of what business you do, डॉलर का रेट आपके लिए सेम ही है. If it's an iPhone, it's a coffee mug making company, laptop making company, watch making company, whatever you do, the dollar rate fluctuation is common for all. That's a great example. Economic environment, customer income level depends again, Tejas. I would say, I would still say, I would still say not common for all because your markets are different, my friend. Now think about it, Tejas. Rolex is not concerned about you and me. Rolex or any luxury brand, right? Rolls-Royce is not concerned about if Tejas or Arjit can buy my products or not. Did- They're not common for them. So if we are not making enough money, Rolls-Royce is not concerned, oh my God, these two guys are not making money. How will they buy my Rolls-Royce car? They don't care. So it's not common for all essentially. Think about it. Think at a deeper level. Corporate social responsibility, Swati. How is that a factor? How is that a business environment after all? Corporate social responsibility is a compliance that every company has to do. How is that a part of environment? Resources. What kind of resources? I got to solve this for you. You guys seem very confused with macro and micro right now to me. What does foreign exchange has to do with a small grocery store, sweetie? Why not? Why not? Your potatoes are imported from Afghanistan. And those come from Afghanistan to ports of India, then they get distributed to every small shops. The prices can impact. War in Afghanistan will impact. The dollar rate, we are buying potatoes from Afghanistan using dollars. The dollar rate increases, potatoes become expensive for us. Why will it not impact a small grocery store? It will. Common for everyone, irrespective of the industry. Things which are specific to a business are not macro. Okay. Understand this very carefully. Things which are specific to a business are not macro, which are common for every business, that is macro. Let me give you some examples that will give you more insight of what I'm talking about. Okay. I saw Swati writing tax rates or environmental changes. That is right. Tax rate, the rate of taxation in a particular country, common for all? Yes. Common for all businesses? Yes. GST rate, different slabs, but सबको देना है? Yes. Can you challenge it? No. Difficult to control? Yes. Far from the business? Yes. Business cannot control it. And business is not even working towards changing it. It's a macro environment. Okay. A business operating in India, right? India has the largest number of young people. The average Indian age is 25, 26 years. It is a common factor for every business working in India. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि for Reliance the number of young people in India is 20 crores, but for Dream 11 the number of young people in India is 100 crores. Can businesses control the birth rate and amount of young people in India? No, very difficult to control. Are businesses trying to change that? Very far from doing that. It's a macro environment. It's a macro environment. People in are religious. People in India is extremely religious and they believe in superstitions a lot. It's a common factor for every business, be it gaming, watch, car. It impacts or it doesn't impact is a separate issue. Will it impact the business or not is a separate issue. But is that factor common for all businesses? Yes. Indians are religious. That's a fact. And it is common for all businesses to accept that, boss, Indians are religious. How does that impact a particular business? Let me explain you with a very raw example. A common macro factor is Indians are religious. Now, if a watchmaking company, let's say this is a watchmaking company, and it puts a Hanumanji image inside the watch. It puts a Hanumanji image inside the watch. People might get offended that, boss, how are you putting Hanumanji in a watch? Right? How are you doing that? We don't want our God to be sitting on our wrist. It's offensive to us. People might be offended. So the company has to be aware that people are very religious and the sentiments in religion are very strong. A water glass making company cannot name itself after a god's name. They cannot say XYZ God cup making company. People might get offended like, dude, why are you keeping a name of a god on such particular thing? Right? Now, these are certain things that companies, this is common for everybody to consider. Will it impact them or not is something very different. But none of the businesses can change the fact that Indians are religious. None of the businesses can change the fact that the tax rate is 20%. None of the businesses, any industry can change the fact that GST is levied in India. None of the countries can change, none of the companies, irrespective of industry, can change the fact that Modi ji is going to be the next prime minister. None of the companies can change the fact that every customer needs to submit an Aadhaar card when applying for a particular KYC. It's a rule. They have to comply, right? Now, these are macro business environments common for every business. Now, what a micro environment? Micro environment क्या होता है? Micro environment is which is very specific to you, which is very specific to you. कि यार, your competitors are your micro environment. They're close to the business, easier to control and specific to you, right? They are very specific to you, boss. This is what I'm doing. My organization, my people, my competitors, right? These are micro environment. I can control. I can make changes. My customers are my customers, right? These are micro environment. They're close to business, you easy to control, and you're specific. My customers generally will not be customers of a different product. They will be so a customer buys 10,000 things in a day. It doesn't mean my customer will not be a customer of something else. But my customer is not common for every industry irrespective. Airbus aeroplane, the airplanes are bought by Indigo Airlines from Airbus. So Indigo is a customer for Airbus. Are you and me customer for Airbus? No. We are the customer for Indigo. So for Airbus, you and me are irrelevant, indirectly irrelevant. I'm not going to buy an airplane in my life from Airbus. Or maybe if I get very rich, I might, but generally, most likely not. So I'm not their micro environment. I'm not very close to them. They don't control me, right? And I'm not very specific. They're not specifically working towards my preferences. Oh, there's a guy called Arjit Sethi. He has a preference of this kind of an airplane. Let's build an airplane. No, they don't care because I'm not their micro environment. I'm not specific to them. Okay. That is micro environment. Indigo will be their micro environment. Indigo says Airbus, I need an airplane with 210 seats. You have 180 seats right now. I want an airplane with 210 seats. Airbus team is going to go back and build that for Indigo because Indigo is a customer. It's a micro environment for them. Okay. Specific to them. How can we easily control our competitors? Avni, why can't you? By pricing, by promotion, by marketing, by product quality, by innovation, by creating a competitive advantage, my friend. The first question of the class today, something very unique and valued by the customer. You build it, you control your competition. What is Apple doing? What is Samsung doing with cameras? What is Samsung doing with their phone screens? You watch those reels. There's a Samsung phone in a bush, and they zoom in and zoom out. It looks like the same leaves. Such full HD screens, high quality products. They're controlling their competition. They're pushing their competition to do better because I am doing so much better than you. Apple says I have speed. Samsung says I have quality. My cameras are fantastic. My screens are fantastic. Come and beat me. Apple says it's all okay. My operating system is 10,000 times better than you. Samsung says okay, but my hardware is 10,000 times better than you. They're pushing each other. They're controlling their competition. That's how you control your competition. That is strategy. That's the interesting part of strategic management. We are doing a mini MBA. Okay. That's why I love this subject. We're talking about businesses. We're thinking about what a business is doing. And that's the most interesting part. Macro and micro. Okay. Macro environment. What are the elements of macro environment? Number one, demographic environment. Characteristics of the population. Defining a market size helps identify trends. The demographic environment is characteristic of the population. More young people, more old people, right? More young people are there, more old people are there. All of that is demographic environment, the characteristic of the population. Number two is define the market size. The characteristic of the population will define your market size. The number of young people, if you're targeting young people, this will define your market size. the number of people you can reach out to. It helps identify trends. Okay, it helps identify trends because you know what kind of people are there in the market, the populations you're trying to cover, the characteristics of the population. That is what you're defining as a market. Okay, it helps identify trends. Socio-cultural environment. Number two, socio-cultural environment, the beliefs and value systems of the population we were talking about. It helps define your product. Like I said, you cannot put a God's image in the watch dial or on a product name. It helps define your product. How do you want to build that particular product based on socio-cultural environment? Defining, figuring out who to sell to, demographic environment helps you. Socio-culture environment helps you identify what kind of product you should be making. The economic conditions like the GDP, the forex, the import export, the interest rate, these help you analyze the profitability of the business. Is doing this like will doing this particular business in this particular country be profitable or not is going to be defined by economic conditions. Or when you analyze the macro environment and you figure out economic conditions, you got to figure out whether I'm going to make money or not in this country, in this product, in this country. If I'm selling a product in a country which is not, the GDP is down, the customers are down, the interest rates are high, people don't have so much money. It's a poor country. You cannot be a billionaire easily. You cannot be a billionaire easily, right? If the GDP or the forex or the interest rates are very unfavorable to you. I don't know if you guys watch TEDx talks or TED talks. There is a TED talk on the internet. Whenever you get time, go and watch. It's a 10, 11-minute video. TED talk on the best countries to become a billionaire. The best countries to become a billionaire. And to your surprise, the answer is so interesting. That person in that TED talk tells that countries where it is the easiest to become a billionaire, easiest to become a billionaire are countries which are very low on resources and very high on efficiency, right? These countries like Norway. Norway was the answer. It's the easiest to become a billionaire in Norway. You might think in Norway, there's no startup, there is no big company in Norway. All big companies are US, all big companies are India, China. The biggest banks are US, China banks, India, SBI इतना बड़ा है. नॉर्वे का तो बैंक भी बड़ा नहीं है. How is it so easy to become a billionaire in Norway? Because of economic conditions, my friend. Because of economic conditions. The economic conditions are not as volatile as these countries like India, China, and US. It's a very stable economic condition. Every year you will earn 4%, irrespective. Dunya idhar se udhar. Things change for good or bad. That country is stable. And where there is stability, where there is focus, it's the easiest to be successful. Countries like India, China, US are highly volatile. Single day, election day, the market jumps 10%. 10%. If you know, stock market return of France for 1 year is 2.5%, right? Stock market return for European countries average is 3.5, 4% annual return. Indian market is giving 10% per day. Single day return 10% and their annual return is 4%. So when there is stability, it's easier to do business. But unstable economies like India, China, US give you an opportunity to experiment the goods and the bads. So economic conditions of the macro environment helps you identify the kind of business you're doing, the kind of personality you have as an entrepreneur, as a business person, and then analyzing the external environment will help you decide the kind of business, the place where you want to do the business. Okay. Number four, political and legal environment, how easy it is to do business in a country. For example, you go to Dubai, You can open up a company in 15 minutes in Dubai. 15 minute mein you can open a company in Dubai. Online. Everything is online. In India, it might take 1 month. You got to have a DSC, the digital signature, Aadhaar card linking, bank account opening, GST number, voluntary number, UID, then your Mudra account, then your Aadhaar, then this. You're like, dude, when am I gonna start my business? There's just so much paperwork. There is just so much collating, so much information about me. Nobody's ever gonna use it, but I got to have those information uploaded, given to the government. The ease of doing business is relatively tough, and those are the kind of things that are changing in our country. Our country is changing. It's developing for the good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it is getting better for us. And we are learning from countries which have done that. The problem with India will always remain population, right? So you cannot say we are doing bad. We are doing absolutely great in terms of as a country, because the kind of population we have, the size we are the biggest country in the world in terms of population as on date. We are the most populous country. So you got to have patience in this country. But just saying, as a business person, you need to analyze your business environment, macro, the political and legal. Would you want to go and do business in Afghanistan? You want to go and do business in Israel? You want to go do and business in Palestine? No. Right now, no. Do you want to go and do a business in Russia? Might be no. They're politically very unstable. Wars are going on. People are not as affluent. It's a war zone. वहां तो क्या ही business करेंगे, right? So the political and legal environment is same for all. Russia-Ukraine war, right? Israel war is common for all. It's not like कि अरे I am a fruit seller, मेरे लिए war का क्या मतलब है? Versus a brand like Adidas opening up a store in Israel saying, dude, war doesn't, I don't care about wars. No, they have to care about war because it's happening. It's common for everyone. Okay. And the last one is technological environment. Needs no explanation. You know it more than me. You've got to be aware of how the technology is changing and how do you adapt to the new ways of technology. Okay. Macro environment. Is it clear? Give me a thumbs up. I've been speaking for the last 10 minutes non-stop. Any questions, any doubts? Throw that right away so that I clear the concept. If it's all clear, thumbs up, okay, every helps. Thanks, Manish. Thanks, Avni. Thanks, Kader. All clear, Tejas, Rohani, Swati, Sumit. Sayanto says all clear. Fantastic. Queen, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, like they say in the airplane announcement, like boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, question on your screen. You need to tell me the answer to it. I understand business environment. I understand macro environment. The elements of macro environment are very clear. But how would a strategist identify and analyze the impact of these elements and strategize for these elements? How will they identify? सबसे पहले तो how will a strategist, a consultant like you, first of all, identify these external environments and then strategize, analyze their impact? कैसे करेंगे? How? How will you analyze external environment? How would you analyze macro environment elements, my friend? Sanjay has given the answer. Sanjay, fantastic. I'm not going to say your answer, then it will reveal the answer, but you're right. Avni says through strategic analysis. Wow, Avni. Fantastic. चैप्टर का नाम ही बोल दिया है. Through strategic analysis. Ma'am, give me the name of the tool. Give me the name of the method used to identify and analyze macro environment. Sanjay has given the answer which is right. Avni has given the smartest answer which is wrong. Let's wait for others as well. 10 more seconds. Let's see if you can crack this. Yeah, Swati is right. Ritu is right. Sayanto has touched upon the right thing. The correct answer, my friend, is pestle analysis. Political, economic, social, technological, legal, environment, right? Environmental, it should be environmental. Some of the key things to consider for all of these are on your screen. I'm not going to go into depth and explain it. You guys are absolutely smart to know what is a political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental uh, impacting factor. It's there on the screen, it's there in your study material as well. Go and have a look, go and read about it. What I'll do is I will give you an example of how pestle analysis works. Let's take example of Tata Motors. We all know Tata Motors. Let's take an example of Tata Motors. Now, Tata Motors is doing pestle analysis. Okay. All of us are sitting in the marketing review of Tata Motors, and the head has told us, guys, do a pestle analysis of the company. Do a pestle analysis of the company. What are the key factors that we will consider? What are the key factors that we will consider? Okay, read with me, and then we do an exercise. After this, we will do an exercise. Tata Motors, all of us sitting in one room, the CEO has asked us, all of us as a team, boss, go and do a pestle analysis of the company and come back and tell me what all things to be considered. What all have you identified under pestle analysis that I got to consider for my strategy? We all go to a closed room and we are going to do this pestle analysis. The first one is political. We sit down and think, okay, what are the things which are political and can really impact our business as Tata Motors? What are the things that can impact us as Tata Motors? The political aspects. Number one, the taxation policies on cars. Okay, so tax policies on cars is one thing. The trade agreements. We got to buy products from China, from Dubai, we got to buy products from South America. Some of our products come from Africa. Our batteries come from Taiwan. Our raw material, painting materials come from Indonesia. So we got to know trade agreements. How are the trade relations of our country, our political trade connections with these countries? We got to be aware of that. Okay, we did that analysis. Political stability. Okay, we did how stable is India as a country. Very stable for us. Very invested in car market. Very nice. Good for us. Influencing international operations and expansion. Our government has great relationships with US, with European countries, with South Asian countries, with Korea, Japan, and Hong Kong, Taiwan, right? Not very affluent with China. So we got to be careful in our expansion plans in these countries. Okay. Number two, economic conditions पे बात कर लेते हैं. We as a group then thought about, okay, political looks right, political aspects are in favor. What about economic factors? Okay, are we affected by GDP? Yes, the GDP is growing. It's a positive outlook from the government, positive outlook from the World Bank. The consumer purchasing power is increasing. The exchange rates are a bit high, but still manageable, right? Then the inflation is almost like at the average, and production costs are high, but We can also charge higher prices because there is inflation, so we can charge higher prices to the consumers. It's an okay position to be in economically in the motor market, in the car market. Okay, understood. Number three, social aspect. Are people buying cars? Are people preferring buying cars? Yes. So social aspect in our favor. Demographic. Are people affluent to buy a mid-segment family car like a 10, 11 lakh rupees car? Yes. Are we making it? Yes. The lifestyle trends are towards a positive for Tata Motors. Yeah. People are ready to buy cars. Everybody wants to own a car in a lifetime. The lifestyle trend of the company is in our favor. Good analysis. Technology. A lot of innovative electric vehicles are coming. Autonomous driving is coming, right? Mahindra XUV 700 has done autonomous driving. You leave and you sit back and the car will drive on its own. Technology is changing. Connectivity. From phones you can look at the entire metrics of your car, the vitals of the car. Are we doing all of that? The technological advancement, yes. Tata Motors, we have EV cars, we are working on autonomous driving, we have all the features within budget, best prices. The quality is okayish for us, but people are liking our product. Technologically, we are stable. Good analysis. Legal. Are we bang on safety? Maybe not. That's one issue for us. As Tata Motors, people are not very confident of the safety we provide in our cars or vehicles. Maybe people are not very comfortable with the safety standards of the cars. So we got to work on this. We got to work as a company. That's our analysis. That's a pestle analysis. Emissions. Our cars, are they environment friendly? Are the cars doing a lot of emission? Maybe yes. We got to be careful of that. People are very conscious of environment, and a lot of different organizations are very cautious of environment, so we need to be very careful on emissions as well. Labor laws, right? Are we giving ample money, resources, safety conditions in our factories, and upholding a reputation? This is one point we as a company need to work on. Okay, so legal is one point. In pestle analysis we as a company need to work on. And finally, the environment factor, right? The environment factor being addressing concerns on emissions, sustainability through electric vehicle development, battery usage, lithium battery, use of chemicals or technology, XYZ, green manufacturing practices, waste disposal management, water treatment, all of these are taken care of, right? So we are good on environment as well. So from pestle analysis as a group for Tata Motors, we go to a CEO and say, listen, we did pestle analysis of the macro environment. Politically, we are in a good position. Economically, the country is growing. People are ready to buy, spend money. Socially, the trend is in our favor. People want to own smaller cars in terms of family cars within budget price. They also want XUVs and SUVs, mini SUVs at 14, 15 lakhs. Good price segment for us to be in. Technologically, we are working really hard. We are almost there meeting competition. Legally, we are somewhere lagging behind, but we got to invest in legal. And environmentally, we are sound. Our practices are very well established. So we are good on that as well. That's a pestle analysis to the CEO. Do you understand pestle analysis way better than before now? Is my question to you. With this example, do you now understand real pestle analysis? How does that happen? Does this give you more confidence of what is a pestle analysis? What is an external environment? What is a business environment? Right? Good. Thank you. Good to know that it's giving you more confidence in terms of how things work, how pestle analysis work, what's a business analysis, what's a strategic analysis, what's a business environment, what is external environment, and how do you really leverage the knowledge of external environment in making decisions for your business. Good to see so many yeses. Very happy. Now the activity for you for the next 5 minutes is We will take example of Flipkart. Let's remove Tata Motors and let's say Flipkart. The next company is Flipkart. We all know what Flipkart is. We are going to do a pestle analysis of Flipkart. Okay. Okay. We are going to do pestle analysis of Flipkart. Let's start with political aspect. Give me your 1 2 points very quickly. We will do this very quickly. Give me political aspects to be considered by Flipkart. Quick. Things to consider under political environment by Flipkart. Politically and compliance with government norms. Okay, what else? Politic बोला है रूहानी. Government compliance is legal. GST rate on supply of products. Great point. Taxation policies. Very nice. What else? Political. भाई political. ये legal बता रहे हो ज्यादातर आप. I'm compliant with taxation is legal. But is taxation policy in favor of me? Is political. Is the taxation policy in favor of my business? Is political. Am I compliant with taxation policy? Is a legal aspect. Political stability है. Very nice. Trade agreements हैं. Flipkart can source products from different countries. Yes. Politically stable. International operations. Yes. My headquarters is in Singapore. I work from India. Flipkart headquarters is in Singapore. Politically, I can do mergers and acquisitions. I am allowed to do that. My trade agreements, my political stability allows me to merge, acquire a lot of other companies. Very nice. Good for me. Number two, economic factors for Flipkart. Quickly, economic factors for Flipkart. Economic factors for Flipkart. Inflation, lifestyle, consumer preference, purchasing power of the consumer, type of the consumer, cost, trends in the market, cash on delivery, customer preference. Absolutely, very nice. Delivery cost, the rate of inflation and savings rate, interest rates on credit cards. Credit card interest rate will really impact Flipkart sales, right? The interest rate on credit card, the accessibility to credit card, the accessibility to cheaper loans will really impact Flipkart sales. If people are getting very low interest rate on their credit card bills, they will swipe, buy everything on Flipkart, right? Okay. Number three, social. Number three, social. Very quickly. You guys are going very nice in speed. Give me some social aspects to be considered in pestle analysis by Flipkart. Social aspects. Population, income level, online shopping. Okay. Lifestyle trends, population, income level again, social, cultural conventions, values, beliefs of the Indians. Okay. We have so much young crowd in India. Everybody is on internet. Young consumer, buying pattern, Indian consumer becoming affluent. Young Indians started to make money very early. At 18, 19 years, people have started making money. That's a big social trend in favor of Flipkart. technological, access to internet, access to apps, access to phones, technological advancement really helping Flipkart. Legal, right? Navigating legal terms, the delivery or the labor unions, the delivery boy, like we have so many delivery personnel in Flipkart, like 3 lakh, 4 lakh people on their bikes, roaming the streets, their safety, their concerns, their safeguard, everything is under Flipkart. They have to consider that as well. And environmental, right? And environmental packaging, wastage, returns, all of this they have to take care of. They have to package in recyclable packaging, plastic, reuse plastics that they package. You see a lot of pressure on Flipkart and Amazon to recycle their packaging. Otherwise, it's all going in garbage, right? So environmental aspects as well, right? Do you understand pestle analysis better now? After sales services as a social thing? Okay. I will upload this PDF and you will see Flipkart pestle analysis there as well for your reference. Okay. For your reference, it will be there. Go back and read once it is uploaded. Have a look, take a read. It will be good for you to learn more. Okay. Let's go to the next topic now. Go back once we upload this, have a look, read about Flipkart pestle analysis as well. But now you understand the business environment, the macro environment. You understand strategic analysis, you understand markets, you understand business environment. Why is it needed? What is strategic analysis? Who does it? What are the different elements? How do you identify and analyze those? Now, there is something very interesting that is happening globally, something very interesting happening globally, and that is a lot of businesses are going global. A lot of businesses are going global. They're going to different countries, doing businesses in different countries, and they're making a lot of money. The characteristics of a global company is that it has multiple units located in different parts of the globe, but all linked to one single organization. Zara, H&M, Tata, Vedanta, Airtel, Wipro, Infosys, TCS. These are global companies. They have offices multiple parts of the globe, but the core entity sits in a particular company which owns everything, which controls everything. Multiple units draw on a common pool of resources from the main company. The units respond to a common strategy. Besides, its managers and shareholders are also based in different nations. The unit responds to a common strategy of the company, even if it is a global, has different offices around the globe. The strategy remains common. Okay. But how do companies go global? One, evaluate global opportunities and match those with your internal strengths. Describe the scope of firm's global commercial operations. Create objectives to be there. How do you want to be there? Create a plan, a solid plan with timelines, and develop corporate strategies from a global perspective, right? Desi mindset se hatke become global as a company, and you will feel that you're going global. Get away from Desi mindset, the Indian mindset of doing business. Think globally, think long term, and you will be on track to become a global organization. That is how you develop internationally. Okay. Some of the companies, Indian companies, which have gone global, like TCS, Wipro, Airtel, Reliance, Vedanta, very few examples. There are thousands of companies which have gone global. I've just given names of some of the biggest companies we know of, right? These are Indian companies which have access, markets, sales, operations around the globe in multiple locations. Okay. But why do businesses go global? मिलता क्या है? ऐसा क्या अच्छा है? What is so attractive about going global? Why do businesses want to go global? Why do you business wants to be an international business? Number one, growth, expanding the number of customers. You go outside, you have multiple customers, you have more customers, newer market, more customers, reduce time and distance with the internet, logistics, supply chain benefits, everything. It's become so easy. The time and the distance have reduced so much to go global that now people think, why not? It's so easy and cheap to go global. Let's go and just be a global company, man. Number three, domestic market insufficiency. Sometimes the domestic market does not really understand your product, and then you need to take it globally. Sometimes you innovate so much or you design so much that the local market doesn't even need so much of your product. So, another way to sell your product is to go global. That's what a lot of companies do as well. Number four, access to resources. Access to resources, right? Like cost effective, cheaper capital, effective raw material, better quality raw material. All of this, if you figure out, is you're getting outside, people go and start doing businesses outside. Cost reduction. Sometimes it's not just about going to Europe and US, it's about looking at the countries which are below your own local country. For example, for India, going to Vietnam, going to a country like Indonesia might be really, really beneficial, like Sri Lanka, going to Bhutan, going to Nepal. In terms of production, because the cost is less, because of less competition, because of cheaper resource availability, not so much competition, right? XYZ reason. It's not because they're cheap, it's because of the political reasons, it's because of not exploited so much in terms of opportunity. So you can go and use that opportunity for yourself as well. Sales and cash flow. Making dollars is always a good strategy, right? Wipro, Infosys, TCS, they charge customers in dollars and they pay their expenses in rupees. That's why they are profitable. They charge $1,000, which is 80,000 rupees, and they spend 10,000 rupees. The margins are massive. Services and economic integration, right? Now, global prominence, regional economic integration drive international expansion, which means now with the access of governments across, Indian government helping you having an economic presence and integration of economy together. Indian government having relations with different countries really helps you get better services across the nations. I have an SBI account in the United States, in London, in New York, in Paris. SBI is everywhere, my friend. Integration hai, economic integration hai. And finally, ease of forming strategic alliances, building partnerships with global companies. Starbucks coming with Tata in India, Indian companies going outside with a foreign brand. Everything is happening. It gives you access to newer products, newer partners, newer understanding. And who doesn't want it as a business person? Everybody wants to expand globally. That's how and why businesses go global. A business environment also is an external international environment, right? Not just restricted to a country, think globally, is what this topic says. Okay, last 7 minutes, and then we open up for Q&A session. The last 30 minutes, as you know, are going to be Q&A sessions. You can unmute yourselves, you can write and chat. All your questions will be answered. The last thing we study today is this thing that you see on your screens. Okay, we're going to talk about a company called MDH Masale. You would have heard about MDH Masala, one of India's biggest spices company. The full form is Mahashya Adi Hatti, right? A household name in Indian spices. They embarked on a journey from a small shop in Delhi to conquering the international markets. Founded by Mahashay Dharampal Gulati in 1919, MDH's legacy of authentic Indian flavor resonated with consumers globally. Despite humble beginnings, MDH's unwavering commitment to quality and traditional recipes propelled its expansion. It leveraged modern packaging and distribution channels. It penetrated markets across the US, UK, Europe, and beyond. Today, MDH stands as a tall symbol of Indian culinary heritage, enriching kitchens around the globe. Right? It also demonstrated its power of Indian entrepreneurship on the global stage. How did they do it? It was fueled by strategic branding, product innovation, and effective distribution. It capitalized on its reputation of quality and authenticity, leveraging traditional recipes that appealed to diverse palates. Adapting packaging and marketing to international standards, MDH enhanced its appeal to global customers. Key partnerships with distributors and retailers, while targeted advertising campaigns raised brand visibility. Embracing e-commerce platforms further widens its reach by maintaining consistency in flavor and quality while catering to local preferences. MDH successfully transcended borders, became a trusted name in spice markets worldwide. We just studies how can companies go global, and MDH did exactly those steps: quality, innovation, international standards, key partnerships, distributorship, customer insight, customer awareness, and pricing. Bang on strategy. It's one of the biggest Indian brands in spices, and globally, it's one of the most recognized Indian spices brand. You go to US, you go to UK, you go to any country in Europe, whatever you find in the general stores like their 24/7s and their convenience stores, MDH Masale will be there. You go to Singapore, if you go to Hong Kong, you go to Korea, you will still file MDH Masale. Clear with it? All good, all clear. Give me a yes. Okay, thumbs up. Okay, yes. I have a thumbs up. Okay, in the chat. Thank you. International analysis is all about regional, multinational, and country. Okay, there are different layers to international environment. You understand multiple countries, then you understand the region where you're working, and then you analyze, deeply examine every country's analysis as well. So an international analysis includes national analysis as well. So if an Indian company is doing business analysis of external environment in India, a global company coming to India has to do that as well. In addition to its global analysis, it has to do a country analysis as well. So it is far more difficult and crucial for international businesses to do a country level analysis, a regional level analysis, and a multinational. Three layers of analysis लगता है. पहले तो globe का and analyze the entire globe, analyze the region, Asia, Europe, America, where you're going to focus on. And finally, you focus on the country analysis wherever you're going to be operating. If multiple countries, then analyze every country's demographic, every country's social, every country's economic, every country's technological. So all those 5, 6 factors of macro environment, For each country you have to do. So think how much analysis you have to do. I, as a company, want to go to 10 countries. I have to look at economic conditions of 10 countries, socio-cultural of 10 countries, demographics of 10 countries, economic of 10 countries, political of 10 countries, legal of 10 countries. I have to do that. I cannot escape that. Okay? I cannot escape that. So it's massive analysis that goes into doing international business. With that, let's stop for today here. It's already 9 a.m. We are bang on time. From tomorrow or from the next class, which is on next Saturday, we start with the next topic, which is understanding product and industry. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to give you some really, really interesting things to think about, to learn about. It's going to be very interesting. Okay. But for now, let's open up our Q&A session. Feel free to log in, ask as many questions as you can from the topics discussed from the syllabus, and we'll be happy to answer. We have esteemed faculties from the Board of Studies as well. Anything that you feel from an exam perspective, from a syllabus perspective, from what we studied today, we're happy to answer. Go ahead and ask without any hesitation. I am here for the next 30 minutes to solve all your queries. Can I explain product life cycle, Pranjali, next class? We're going to do everything in depth. Product life cycle is coming up in next class. The very next few topics are on that. So we'll study that in next class for sure. Gunjan's question is, SM के लिए preparation कैसे करें? By studying the study material, Gunjan, please do not skip the study material. Please don't skip it. You will repent, you will regret not studying the study material. These presentations, these PDFs that I'll upload are only for very quick revision. This will not help you clear the examination, I can tell you. You need to read the study material thoroughly. The questions will come from there. And practice, practice, be active in these classes. I'm asking so many relevant questions. We will do practice questions as well, right? After the end of this chapter, I have very interesting questions for you to practice. क्या strategy होना चाहिए? Strategy यही है गुंजन. I just gave you the strategy. In macro environment, sir, future, explain environment. In macro environment, sir, future, explain environment. I did not get your question, Pranjali. In macro environment, future, explain environment. Can you please rephrase your question? In exam, how will they ask about pestle analysis? How we will answer it? It can be subjective question, Khader, or it can be MCQ in a business scenario as well. You can be asked in an MCQ form. You can be asked in a subjective question as well. It can be anything. For example, help do an pestle analysis of a baby product care company operating in India facing legal challenges for a high amount of chemicals in their products. Do a pestle analysis. Then can be a subjective question. Or there can be MCQ question based on the business scenario or an independent MCQ with a small business scenario. Like the XYZ company was concerned about understanding what is happening in a country where they want to expand. Which tool should they be using and which element of that tool they should be using? You'll be like, okay, so if a company wants to expand globally, they want to understand the political, economic, and legal aspect, they should go and do pestle analysis. MCQ on option number B, pestle analysis. Tick. It can be that way as well. Can you explain environment? Pranjali, environment is everything which is outside and inside. There are different elements. Everything outside of the organization is macro. Every element inside is micro. Every element means demographic, political, social, cultural, right? Legal, technological. All these are beyond control outside the organization. Internal are things like close to the and things that business can control, like customers, like competitors, like pricing of themselves, their own resource allocation, all that is internal environment. Do we have descriptive or MCQ paper? Though both. Can you explain further environment point in macro environment? Environment is a broader term, Pranjali. Do not get confused with what is environment. Environment is a broad term. Everything that a business needs to consider is an environment. It has two parts, macro and micro. Okay. So it's good to know, all clear. SM के क्वेश्चंस का प्रेजेंटेशन क्या होना चाहिए? I gave that insight last class as well, Gunjan. Try to break down your answers in paragraph forms. Try to use bullets, underline your keywords, and have a structure to your answer. Start with the fact of the question, then give the crux keyword and a solution to the answer, and finally conclude your answer with the right thing that the question is asking for, right? The fact of the question, your main content with key points underlined in bullet form, and finally a conclusion line. That structure, if you follow across your answer sheet, the examiner is really happy. It's really easy for them to check. And they're not spending a lot of time figuring out ki likha kahan pe hai right answer, right? So that helps. That helps. Feel free, no question is a wrong question. Ask as many questions as you can. We are here for your doubts. If there are no more questions, we can wrap up as well. But I'll be here for another 10 minutes at least, unless we have more questions and I take up and we reach the right time of the class. Thanks, Sumit. If all clear, very good to know that. Regional analysis can be in a country as well. It can be southern region, northern region, really depends on business to business, really depends on analysis, right? It really depends, sweetie, right? Regional can be Asia, European, American, or it can be northern part of India, southern part of India, east part of India, west part of India. It can be anything. Region is very specific to how business is trying to figure out their strategy. Can you provide some presentation of question of ours for benefit? Gunjan, I will try to do that. Maybe in the coming sessions, let me try and get something for you for sure. Okay, we'll do that. So trademark and patent cover under macro or micro? No, it's nothing. Trademark and patent are not part of the environment as such. They're just tools to protect you from competition. They are ways to protect your innovation from competition. How is that part of the environment? Is it possible to do MCQ in remaining 10 minutes? Kiran, if you have Godspeed, please go ahead and do that. Whatever you're comfortable with, it's your examination. You plan what you're good at, how you want to allocate your time during the examination. There is no right and wrong. But just be careful that please plan the structure of your examination in a way which is comfortable. Do not be in a rush. एग्जाम में जाके सब उल्टा पुल्टा हो जाता है, राइट? Everybody gets very confused during the examination hours. So be very well structured in your mind and stick to it. Can you tell short time risk in internal and external? Pranjali, I just gave you so many examples during the class. You should give me examples now. I should know that if you're right or not. Go ahead and give me an example of short term internal risk, Pranjali. Think of, and I'll tell you if it's right or not. I would anyway give the answer, but you should try giving it. Tell me a short-term internal risk. Change in strategy in long risk. Okay. This is definition. Example kind. We need an example. Others, please feel free to share your thoughts, questions. We're still here. Next class, we start with markets,
Archit,
products. Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to add one thing regarding the Sumit's query.
Sure,
Sumit
ma'am.
has asked about the trademark and patent cover under macro or micro.
Correct.
If Sumit is listening, I think his query pertains to technological environment. Isn't so, Sumit? Can you please clarify? If it, I think so, that it pertains to technological environment. So in that case, the license and all trademark licenses and patents, I think he is asking for that. So in that case, it's a macro environment.
Okay. Sumit, I hope
I
that
think.
answers. Thanks, ma'am.
Okay.
So if you're talking about trademark and patent, that's for sure. It's a way to
Yeah,
protect your
I think
innovation in
so that he is
technology.
asking, raising the query for technological environment.
Perfect. Thanks, ma'am. Sumit, I hope that answers. So Sumit says okay. So he meant the same thing. Lack of employees, sweetie. That's you're giving that example of a short-term thing, I guess. Okay, that's an interesting one. Incorrect assessment of resources can be a short-term internal risk. Absolutely, yes. Ranjali, right? See, your friends are giving good examples here. Like incorrect assessment of resources can be a short-term internal risk. Like you thought you could make 10,000 pairs of jeans in your factory, but the amount of raw materials you have is only for 5,000. So that's a short-term risk. You will anyway get more stuff later on, but in the short term, that's a risk to your strategy. Your strategy to make 10,000 products and your resource availability are not matching. Great. We'll wait for another 2 minutes. If you have any questions, go ahead, ask it. If no, happy to know things are clear, and I'll see you next week as well. While we continue with chapter number 2, even more interesting topics. Okay, Preeti has a question. Does strategy is always systematic, or we can do by our convenience as well? Okay, Preeti, that's an interesting question. Now, strategy generally has an overall structure. Okay, what you can, as a business, as a consultant, as a strategist, do is change it or make it, develop it basis your analysis of the external and internal environment. Convenience word is way broad. Okay, so strategy is generally systematic, not always, most likely systematic, but you can change basis your analysis of the environment, both internal and external. And that is what the chapter is telling you, that if something changes, you change as well. Something changes internally, change quickly. Something changes externally, change quickly. So you are making things yourselves in a systematic manner. You develop something, you roll out that idea from a corporate to the middle to the functional, they execute, then you do a feedback, you figure out if the implementation is actually successful. If not, you change your strategy. If it is successful, you double down. That is what we studied in chapter number 1 as well, right? So it's not always systematic, it is generally systematic, and you got to keep changing as you analyze the environment.
Ajit, I would like to add one more point
Sure.
in it, that strategy is proactive as well as reactive. So, in many of the cases, when we are going, the organization is going to be reacted by the situation. In that case, it may be possible that strategy may be systematic, or they may become systematic after due course of time.
Mm.
Even so,
That is an interesting take, ma'am.
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. Right.
Like in
Okay.
COVID case, we can say in COVID
Mm.
times, organizations get strategically systematic only after getting that kind of problem in front of them. Then only they will be able to accommodate or able to adjust with the passage of time in the given situation.
True. True.
Yeah. Would
I
like
hope
to
that
share
helps,
one
Preeti.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please continue,
Sure.
Ajit. Sorry.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I would like to share here one thing and request to all my students that please, dear students, before taking any session, I request all my students, please read the chapter before the session so that you can clear your doubt over here. And the recorded lectures are very much mentioned on the website. Please read the study material and listen the recorded lectures, and after that you will attend the session so that it will give you fruitful results, right? In the next class, Ajit, you just brief them that what you are going to cover in the next class so that these students
Sure.
can read before, and this is also a strategy, we can say,
Mm. True.
right? So you please just give them a brief that what you are going to cover in your next session so that students get prepared themselves for those topics.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So with that, I think that's a great thought what ma'am shared right now. Maybe if you go back, study the study material, come back, and then you can have more fruitful questions, more interesting questions for us to answer, broader thoughts from yourself, right? If you look at this chapter, what we are going to cover next time is, right, we're going to understand the product and the industry. We're going to talk about industry environment analysis. We will talk about market and customer and the competitive strategy. So these broad 4 concepts is what we're going to study in chapter 2 in the next session. So it'll be really good you go back, read the study material, understand it yourself, come here, revise with us, and ask questions and doubts, because we also have so many questions of practice as we converse. So it'll be really helpful if you go back, read, come, attend the recorded lectures, and then watch these revision classes, right? Great. Preeti, I think your answer on systematic is solved as well. That was an interesting thing because once you start making a strategy, it might be proactive and reactive, but over a period of time, it slowly, steadily becomes systematic. Once things get into action, it becomes systematic, but it's always going to be proactive and reactive. Great. Okay, so question is nationalism feelings can affect the business in what way? Ritesh, there must be a thought when you were asking this question. I would want to know that thought as well. Nationalism feelings can affect business in what way? It can, but what do you think? How are they impacting? Because you have an example in your head. That is why you're asking this question. So I want to hear that example first from you, that how do nationalism feelings affect a business? Share that thought and then I'll share mine. Meanwhile, the next question we have is technological changes can't be same for all industries, whether it impacts them or not. No, it can, it will be like internet, like innovation, right? Technological is ideally when technology changes, it changes across. It changes across industries. Like it's a general term. We're talking very specific to a particular this innovation, but you look at general innovation. The trend is innovating towards a better ease of doing things, more convenience to the human race, right? That is
Uh,
technological.
Here, I would like to add the example
Sure,
of
ma'am.
AI.
Mm-hmm.
AI is basically a technological change, a major technological changes. It may be happen that I may hit all the industries in different ways, but for sure, every industry may get the impact of AI in any of the senses, maybe in the senses of any changes or in employment or anything. But that is for sure that AI will impact all the industries,
True.
right?
That's again a very interesting answer,
Yeah.
ma'am. That's right. Right, sweetie? Like AI, like just ma'am told, artificial intelligence will impact every industry irrespective, right? You can't say this particular business is some way or the other. What we're saying is you might think direct, okay? Like directly it's going to impact it. But if you look at a broader idea, it's a macro environment. Some way or the other, every industry will get impacted by the advent of AI. So that is the kind of thought you should have when you're doing a macro analysis. Okay. Back to Ritesh's question. Ritesh, I think you had that on point for yourself as well. Nationalism feeling affecting business, for example, make in India, right? Now, nationalism feeling, for example, most of the consumers today are very aware that I only want to buy a product which is made in India. I don't want to buy a product made in China or made in XYZ country. Now, that really impacts how businesses do their, like probably sales in a particular country, let's say India, right? So, this nationalism feeling, understanding the consumer, the socio-cultural feeling, right? People are getting nationalistic about products. This is again a macro environment, and a great example is Make in India. You're right on point in taking that as an example, and it really impacts every business irrespective. If the consumers of India are more inclined in buying made in India, every company, irrespective of what they do, will have to switch to making in India. That's how powerful macro environment is. Can we have alternative strategies always? That's why it is proactive and reactive, right, Swati? Reactive means you should have alternate strategies. If this doesn't happen, what will I do? If that doesn't happen, what will I do? These are alternative strategies which should be at the back of the mind always. So you will always have alternative strategies. That is why it is proactive and reactive. Snapchat provoking Indians by giving unwanted statements, right? But again, that's how business is operating. That's a separate thing, but again, it's impacting a lot of their business as well. What are the risks involved in when businesses go global? The same risk that you have in local as well, right? People not accepting your products, the customers not preferring the competitive pressures. We will study about the same in the coming chapter, Michael Porter's Five Forces of Competition, right? The risks involved when business go global or in any area of the world or the local country, the risks almost remain the same. An additional risk could be a forex exchange, a global trade agreement between the countries, right? Or political instability between two countries. Those could be additional risks. But generally, the business risks are more or so the same, like competitive pressures or threat of substitutes or new competitors coming in, supplier pressures, this and that. We will study about that in next session. Great. YouTube influence and viewer of YouTube, are they both covered in the same environment, or how YouTube will make strategy for both on global level? Okay, let me understand this question first. What you're saying is YouTube influence and viewer of YouTube, are they both covered in the same environment, or how YouTube will make strategy for both on a global level? Absolutely different. Influencers on YouTube versus the consumers of content on YouTube, there are two different groups of customers for YouTube. There are two different groups of customers. Influencers are one which are creating a product for YouTube. Consumers are people who are buying that product, right? People making videos, people watching videos, two different set of customers. So the strategy for both globally, locally, regionally will be different because it's a different set of customer with different set of needs. And that is again what we are going to study in the coming session next week, understanding customers. So read your study material thoroughly and then we discuss. These are great points. Thanks for bringing it up, Preeti. It's a great example and thought. We will cover this in the next session. Understanding customer. You're left with 3 more minutes. Feel free to ask your questions, thoughts. Really interesting questions today. Feel free, go ahead, ask your questions. And like we said, please prepare before the next session. Then you can have more conversations and you can have more doubts to be solved. Otherwise, you're just coming here, you're going back home with more doubts.
And even after the session, if the students are having any doubts, my request to all my students that please they can post their queries on Ask Your Query through their mobile apps. We will definitely resolve your queries, right? If after the
Absolutely.
session, if anybody have any query, they can post their queries or they can ask their queries in our next session. This is up to you.
All right. If we have no more questions, we can wrap up today's session. I see most of
Yeah,
them.
I think we
Yeah,
can wrap up. The students needs to study and work hard on.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
then only they will ask the queries. If they have already prepared for the session earlier, then only they can ask the questions.
correct.
Give them again a brief of the next session,
Sure,
that what you are going to cover in the next session.
sure.
So my request to all the students, please prepare yourself for the session. Then only it will give you benefit. give a short crisp of the next session, Ajit.
Right. Sure. I think with that thought, ma'am, again, I'll just give what we are going to cover in the next session is we are doing chapter number 2. We have talked about strategic analysis, external environment, macro environment, international environment. The next session within chapter 2 is going to cover your customer, industry, understanding customer and industry, understanding industry analysis. We will talk about markets. We will talk about Michael Porter's 5 forces of competition. And finally, we will talk about the competitive strategy, right? So go ahead, read chapter 2 thoroughly, read what we have studied today from the study material as well, gather questions from that, prepare for the topics which we will cover next time. Gather your thoughts from that as well. Come prepared, and we will revise together in the next session. It's going to be useful for you. It's your examination. We are here to help you. With that, let's wrap up the session for today. Thank you to everyone who joined in. I'll see you next week, same time, morning. Till then, take care. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, students. Thank you,
Thanks,
Ajit.
ma'am. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank
Chakravarti.
you.
Thank you, Manish.